Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. I'm getting an awful lot of letters right now from viewers about brush hogging. And I know you're brush hogging. I just got this field done. Horses are there grazing now. They're happy, wife's happy, I'm happy, life is good. Got a question today from a viewer and a question from me, because my viewer and I are both getting ready to do something that may be unwise. And I want to get your opinion if you've ever done something like this. It involves buying a rotary cutter, a brush hog, Bush Hog, that's a brand name, slasher if you're in Australia, or topper if you're in the UK, that's a little bit bigger than what the tractor is designed for. Have you ever done this, and how did it turn out? We want to know today. This came from a letter from Mac, and Mac says, "Thank you for all the videos." You're welcome, Mac. I love them. I've even considered starting a channel called Help Tractor Mac, because I have no clue. Well, I'd watch it, Mac. He says, "I am considering buying a new tractor soon," and he's looking at a subcompact. The dealer says it's about 4 foot wide, so I'd want a 5-foot rotary cutter. The PTO has about 18 horsepower, and the dealer says that's good enough for a rotary cutter that's 5 foot, rated at 20 horsepower. I have a 15-acre field. It's flat, and the normal density of weeds and no tree saplings to worry about. I know a video where you said to go by the horsepower. Is 18 horsepower close enough for a 20 horsepower cutter, or should I go with a 4-foot cutter that might be narrower than the back wheels of the tractor? Great question, Mac, and we'll talk about that today. I'm also considering doing kind of the same thing. There's a rotary cutter. You always want the next bigger rotary cutter. I've got a 6-foot now. I found a 7-foot twin gearbox cutter at an auction. And by the time you see this video, I'll either own it or I won't. And if I own it, you'll see it on later videos. But I bet I don't get it. But anyway, it's in western Kansas. It's been shedded. It's a twin gearbox cutter. And the thing I like about twin gearbox is when you have two gearboxes, you don't have that single spindle that makes the brush hog stretch out so far. It'd be easier to store in a barn, and the other advantage of a twin gearbox cutter, it's offset. It sits out to one side of the tractor, so if I'm going up next to a fence row or under a tree, I can get closer. Now the problem I've got, same problem Mac's got. It's rated for 35 horsepower. I have a 33.2 PTO horsepower tractor, so I'm looking at a cutter that's really too big for my tractor. So there's a few factors to look at here. Let's talk about Mac's situation first. The biggest thing I'm worried about with Mac, he's on level ground, so he'll probably be able to pull the cutter fine. He's not cutting big material. You know, if the cutter's rated for 2-inch material, if all he's cutting is grass, that takes less horsepower. The thing I'm worried about with a 5-foot cutter on a subcompact tractor is when he picks it up. And if he goes up or down a hill, when he does that, the front of that tractor could get kind of light. So what I told him, go to the dealership, have them hook up that 5-foot cutter and drive it around. And if they've got a hilly place where you can go, like a ditch bank or something, drive up that thing and see how that cutter does and how light that makes the front end of the tractor. I can picture a subcompact tractor with a 5-foot cutter going up a hill, and if you raise that cutter as you're going up that hill, that front end getting awful light and that becoming scary real quick. So Mac, first thing is, try it on the dealer's lot. I think it'll pull it fine for cutting the weeds if all you're cutting is grass. And let's find out, when you pick that thing up, does it make the front end of the tractor goofy? Now if it does, one thing you can do, maybe put 3 or 4 concrete blocks in your bucket. Concrete blocks are a real cheap way to add ballast to a tractor. And so, and I'd want to strap them in there so they don't fall out and you run over them. That could be bad. But if you find out the front end is a little goofy and you buy it, you could put some concrete blocks in there and put a strap through them, and that would probably be fine. Mac, I want to tell you, I always hated deals like this when I was working in the dealership world. I've had situations like this before. I think it'll work for you. I want you to get the right thing for your application. I want you to get your job done fast, so the 5-foot cutter has appeal to me. But have I ever actually hooked a 5-foot cutter up to a subcompact and mowed with it? No. So I think it'll work, but I'm not positive. I do know who will get the blame if it doesn't work, and that's good old Mike, the salesperson. So I'm a little bit nervous about this, and that's why I like this channel, so I can ask my viewers. Now, Mac does bring up a good point. I want to hit on this. If you're shopping for a rotary cutter, you want one at least as wide as the back tread width of your tractor. If you get any narrower, you're running over some grass twice before you cut it, and that doesn't work well. So you want that cutter to be as wide as the rear tread or a little bit wider, and then that's not an issue. Now, Mac, I'll tell you, I think if you check that 4-foot cutter and that subcompact tractor, that 4-foot cutter will cut out the tracks of the tractor. Could be wrong, but check that out before you go with a 5-foot cutter. In my situation, what I'm thinking about doing is keeping my 6-foot cutter for hills and having this 7-foot twin gearbox cutter to go around trees and up next to fence rows. And it's currently, the current bid as I record this is $350. And if I could get that thing for $500 or a little less, it's going to take a little work. Needs some shielding done on it that I'd put on it, some things like that. But I would buy that thing and then run to western Kansas and pick it up over a weekend and make that a road trip. So I'm thinking about doing the same thing. So have any of you ever bought a cutter that was just a little bit below what the tractor was recommended for? And if you did, and maybe you were only using it in grass, maybe you're on flat ground, how did that work? Now, if I was buying this thing and I was going to gut it out, take it back in the woods, cut saplings up to 2 inches, which it's rated for, and run it wide open, I wouldn't do that. But I have an opportunity to buy a cutter that's a little wider, and on my flat areas where I'm just mowing grass, it'll get me done that much faster. And the thing I've got going for me, if I get this thing bought worth the money, if I don't like it, I could always sell it later on and flush out of the cash and actually probably make a little bit of money if I don't count my time and my trip to Kansas to pick it up. But by the time this video airs, I'll either own it or I won't. And if I own it, you'll see it in future videos. And if I don't, you won't. So I'd like to get your opinion in the comments down below. Tell us, have you ever bought a cutter that was just a little bit below the rated horsepower of the tractor, and how did that go for you? Because Mac and I would both like to know. I appreciate you watching my videos. I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. To do so, click the mic face icon and check the bell so you're notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website and the Tractor Fun Store with unique items for sale for the tractor owner that helps support my YouTube channel. And here's a video about how manufacturers rate the required horsepower of their cutters. You might want to watch that if you like this video. Thanks for watching.